A car ought to walk. I pray this devil die and get every evil thing the Lord got to give. And listen, I know you look at us in the state we in right now. Come your SHALAM. Come your SHALAM. I know you look at us in the state we in right now. Black people on drugs and we suffering and dying. And I know it seems like you can do whatever you want to this people. I know it seems like this, but the time for glorifying yourself is soon at an end.
Research for yourself. 550 in this book, man. It has where all this Mary Mother of God came from. Read the highlighted parts of this book right here, starting right here.
The Myth of the Goddess, book, page 550. Nonetheless, by AD 431, at a council in Ephesus, presided over by Cyril of Alexandria.
So this is a council, man. They're sitting down having a council, trying to come up with what? Read on.
Mary was proclaimed not just Christ's bearer.
Mary was what?
Was proclaimed not just Christ's bearer.
Because you know why? Because in the Bible it does not have no proof that Mary is the mother of God. That's Greek mythology, man. That's Greek mythology. Mary had sex with Joseph and that brought about Christ. Just like how black people get born today in the hood. By a black woman and a black man. Christ came about like that, man. Read on.
But God-bearer, Theotokos, who what had happened. By the 4th century, the status of Mary was obviously already a matter of concern.
By what?
By the 4th century, the status of Mary was obviously already a matter of concern.
It was already a matter of concern. This was something made up. It was made up that Mary was going to be not just Christ's bearer, but Mother of God. But Mother of God. That's not in the Bible. This ain't in the Bible, man. We're going to read on and see further proof. Read on.
For Effeminacy, the Christian father, made a precise distinction. Let Mary be honored, but let the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be adored.
Let what?
Let Mary be honored, but let the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be adored.
But in the Bible, Mary is not adored. Christ never looked at Mary as being a mother of God. Christ looked at Mary as just being a woman, as being his mother, just like any one of us, man. Just like any one of us. Our mother ain't God, but when you got a white man having a celebrated Mother's Day, then we make our mother become God on that day. On that day, mom become God on that day, man. When that ain't in the Bible. I mean, reading out a book that these Catholic priests, these men came up with lies. While they molest kids in the Catholic Church, while they turn our boys into homosexuals, our girls into hoes. They teach these lies to us, man. They teach these lies to us and have us thinking that we are serving God and that Mary is the mother of God. Mary was not the mother of God. Mary was just a simple black woman. Just a simple black woman, man. Read on.
At the first council of Constantinople in the 4th century, Mary's virgin motherhood was proclaimed as a way of securing the divinity of Christ.
Hold on, man. You're reading that real fast, man. Her virginhood. What is they trying to say, man? According to the Bible, a virgin is not a woman who never had sex. According to the Bible, a virgin is a young, unmarried woman. But the white man came up with his Virgin Mary, with this woman never having sex, being immaculate, when that's a lie. So you telling me a man and a woman having sex, that's disgusting, that's nasty? Then how did all of us come on this earth? How did all of us come on this earth? Sex brought all of us on this earth just like it brought Christ and his disciples, man. That's what happened. Read on.
A way of securing the divinity of Christ by pointing to the suspension of natural law in the matter of his incarnation.
In the matter of his incarnation, man. Meaning all these things, black man, all these things were lie made up by man. And we were warned not to follow after these philosophies, man. We were warned not to follow after these philosophies. Now read on. Gonna get all of this today in this Bible, man, and further break it down to you, man, that we have been lied to in this place. We have been lied to. The Catholic Church is nothing but a whorehouse. And a church filled with homosexuals, man. Ain't got nothing to do with God. Because Mary ain't the mother of God, like they have our brothers and sisters in South and Central America worshiping, man. A woman. A woman. When God is a man of what? The Bible says God is a man of war. You're gonna get it, man. Now read on.
Now, early in the 5th century, the patriarch of Constantinople, Notorious, insisted that Christ had two natures, a human one and a divine one.
A human one and a divine one. That's where you get your Greek mythology from. Zeus coming on the earth, sleeping with some woman, and giving you Hercules and all these other disgusting so-called Greek gods, demigods. All this thing was made up, man. Just like in Egypt with Isis and Horus. All these things were stories made up. They were lies. And it came up and it got integrated into the Roman Catholic Church. And the Roman Catholic Church ain't nothing but pagan worship, man. Of all different philosophies, man. The Catholic Church ain't got nothing to do with the Bible. Ain't got nothing to do with it, man. And we're gonna read on. Read on.
Which meant that Mary was the bearer of Christ, but could not be the bearer of God. The bishops of Syria agreed with him, but Cyril, the patriarch of Alexandria, did not.
And he did not agree with them. So they going back and forth, arguing whether or not to make a mother of God. And but 2014, by now you know what they did, man. Go in the Catholic Church, you're going to see a big statue of Mary and people praying to it. Like if that statue is going to help you with anything, man. Saying you'll tell the Hail Marys, you're what? You're full of grace. And a set of whoredom is going on in those churches, man. A set of child molesting is going on in these churches. Which shows you it got nothing to do with God. Now skip me down to this verse right here.
Ephesus was significantly the very place where the great temple to Artemis or Diana.
The great temple to who?
Artemis or Diana.
Artemis or Diana. When you go do your research, you saw that the Greeks call her Artemis and the Romans call her Diana. That's why when you go into the book of Acts, it speaks about men making Diana, that statue called named Diana. Ain't no different, man, than today. Ain't no different than today, man, where it comes all the way up to making that statue of Mary. That's what's going on, man. Let's get the Bible dictionary. Let's get the Bible dictionary now. The book, one of the book, the white man made here and put the meaning of certain names in it. Gives you the history of certain names. Now read. Give me Diana first. Give me Diana first. Get Diana in the Bible dictionary. We show you, black man, that we have been played a game in these churches, man. We have been run a game has been rounding us in this Catholic Church, man. We go in there thinking we are worshiping God, when we are not worshiping God, man. We are worshiping Satan in that church, man. Read what I have here with Diana. Read.
Diana, the Roman goddess of the moon, a daughter of Jupiter. A daughter of Jupiter. She was a twin sister of Apollo.
She was a twin sister of Apollo, man. Diana was also called Artemis. But let's read on and see what it's saying again about her. These are Roman goddesses, which tells you what? It's fake. It's not real. These were names and gods made up by the white man. Read.
She was the twin sister of Apollo, who was associated with the sun.
And that's why they also worship on Sunday. They worship Apollo. So these Christian church and the Catholic church ain't nothing but farce and lies, man. About false doctrine that the Catholic church and this Christian church try to integrate with the Bible, man. It's called syncretism, man. Now read on.
And she was with the moon. She was represented as a virgin huntress.
She was what?
Represented as a virgin huntress.
She was represented as a virgin huntress. That's what's going on, man. And you're gonna see, man. Now get me back to that book, to the myth of goddesses. And let's read on, let's see. Let's see what's going on here, man. Now read on, read from where it stopped. Read here.
Artemis, or Diana, as she was called in Roman times, has stood for many centuries. The cult of Artemis or Diana have been represented in AD 380.
And that's what's going on, man. So it's telling you, it's just breaking it down how she became a Roman goddess. And it's going into it here right now, and they're going to show you how Diana transformed into what they call today the Virgin Mary. Now read on.
Represented in AD 380 by the Emperor Theodosius, and the people deprived of their goddess readily turned to Mary instead.
They were deprived of their god, of their goddess. How do you deprive a people of their god, man? By killing out the people who worship these gods. By killing out the people who worship these gods. Now you deprive Diana, now who the people turn to?
And readily turned to Mary instead. The first picture of Mary had appeared in the catacombs in the 2nd century AD.
Now the dust was made up. All these things were made up, man. Now to say a portrait of her was made up also too, was drawn up. Now read on.
In the catacombs in the 2nd century AD. But from now on, portraits of Mary began to proliferate. One of them said to have been painted by Luke himself.
You hear what they're saying, man? They saying that this Mary started to proliferate, meaning what? Multiply on this earth. All these statues, all these paintings. And they said what? Who painted what?
And have painted by Luke himself.
By Luke himself. The Bible does not support that. Read it again.
One of them said to have been painted by Luke himself.
One of them had been said. Those are rumors, man. Those are rumors. And when you go look into the Bible, that ain't got no proof in it, man. Ain't got no proof that Luke painted any picture of Mary. Because we don't worship no woman, man. The Bible does not push us worshiping a woman. That's the Catholic Church and these Christian churches that pushes worshiping of a woman. That's what's going on, man. Let's read on.
Another was sent from Jerusalem to Constantinople, where hundreds of years later it was to be carried into battle.
It was to be what?
Carried into battle.
So no longer they look to God. They start looking to the statue to go into battle. That's why they call it a virgin huntress. That's why they call it a virgin huntress. What does a hunter do? It hunts and kills. That's why they carried her into battle. But we know in the Bible, what does the Bible got to say about that, man? Now, give me the Bible. Give me Exodus 15 and 3. Give me Exodus 15 and 3. Let me show you in this Bible, black man. There ain't no woman, no goddess, or no huntress. That's in the white man's, that's the white man's philosophy and in the white man world. That's why they push a show like Xena, like the Xena warrior princess. And this Bible, it does not refer to a black woman as no queen, as never did. That was the white man who came up with those lies, man. Now read Exodus 15 and 3.
Exodus chapter 15, verse 3. The Lord is a man of war.
The what?
The Lord is a man of war.
The Lord is a man of war, man. Back in the old times, man, we will pray to the Lord and the Lord will go forth with us into battle, man. But now, back then, they came up with some lie, some fake religion, some fake doctrine to promote Mary as being the mother of God. Now you carry her into battle, man. Now they pray to her before they go fight wars. When God ain't no woman, man. Now those things were lies put up by the Roman Catholic Church. Now let's get more from out that book. Out of the myth of goddesses, man. It's a myth. And the Christian and Catholic Church promotes this, man. That's why when men go into that church, what happened to a man's spirit, man? That man's spirit becomes weak. It becomes effeminate in that Christian church, in that Catholic church. Because it pushes the worship of a woman. And a lot of us run from these churches, run from it, trying to worship God and go into Islam and end up getting destroyed also too. When you're supposed to come open this Bible and see that the men on the streets here of the I.S.U.P.K are teaching you everything that's out of this Bible, man. And showing you how to serve God. Now read on.
Another was sent from Jerusalem to Constantinople, where hundreds of years later, it was to be carried into battle on a chariot. So it may be observed, reenacting the old role of the goddess of war.
Of the goddess of what?
Of war.
Of war. That's why you look in that, you go look in that Catholic church, especially in South and Central America, where they carry her on some looking like a stretcher, man. 4 men need to carry this big large statue that ain't alive, that ain't gonna save your life, that ain't gonna get you out of poverty, man. That ain't gonna save you from the hands of the white man. But you do that, why? Because these things were forced on us way back then. And now we take it up and run with it. Now we say we worship the mother of God. When that ain't in the Bible, man. Now read on.
Portraits from the end of the 4th century and beginning of the 5th show Mary seated in the same position as Isis with Horus.
As what?
As Isis with Horus.
And who is Isis and Horus? Those were Egyptian gods. Isis had Horus, and it said that Mary was in that same position with Jesus, which shows you what? That this religion was made up. It's the same thing over and over, just changing names and faces. That's all. Way back then, they called her Astaroth. Let's get it. Let's get it in the Bible dictionary. Way back then, they called Mary Astaroth in the Babylonian times. In the Babylonian times, her name was known as Astaroth, god of fertility. And that's what's going on, man. We worship the same gods that were back 2,000, 4,000 years ago. We ain't worshiping the God of the Bible. When we go to church, when we go to the mosque, we don't worship these things, man. We don't worship God. We worship false God, man. Mythical gods. That's not even in the Bible, man. Why the Christian prove to me that Mary is the mother of God according to the Bible? You Christians that go to church every Sunday, prove to me that Mary is the mother of God. Where does it say that in the Bible? Where does it say it in the Bible, black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian? I'm going to have you in that Bible looking from now till kingdom come. Because it ain't in the Bible, it's a lie made up by the Roman Catholic Church, man. That's why we always tell black people, man, Hispanics and Native Indian, you ain't got to believe what I'm saying. Go do your research for yourself, and you will see that Mary being the mother of God is a lie. It's a lie. You got it? Read.
Ashtoreth, a goddess of the Canaanites.
It was the goddess of the Canaanites back then. Back then, with Nimrod, she was a goddess. Ashtoreth. Read on. Who are the Africans? The Canaanites are the so-called South Africans where you go do your research, man. I was the gods of the Africans first, the so-called Canaanites. Now read on.
Worship all along the seacoast, from Ras Shamra southward towards Phoenicia and Philistia.
All these places, man, they're giving you history of Ashtaroth. That's where you get your Easter from. Easter is worship of Ashtaroth, that fertility goddess, who went on to be Artemis, then went on to be Diana. Now see if we can get Artemis in this book, man. Yes. Let's look it up, man. Let's look up the meaning of these names and the history behind it, man. Because this is what goes on in the Christian church. We sit down there and just recite stuff like it's a poem. Like if you in high school, you recite stuff. You don't research stuff. You depend on this so-called priest, this so-called reverend to teach you the Bible, and he ain't teaching you the Bible. All he doing is taking money from you, pimping you out, and have your sons dying in the street, have your son turning into homosexuals, your daughter into whores. That's what's going on in this place, man. Now read.
Artemis, the Greek goddess of hunting.
The Greek goddess of what?
Hunting.
She's the Greek goddess of hunting. That's where it moved from the Greeks on to the Romans. And the Romans changed her name from Artemis to Diana. That's what went on, black man. We have been run. We played a game by the white man. That's why when we come out on the street, we say the white man is the devil. Not meaning that he got horns on his head and no pitchfork. Meaning he has deceived blacks and Hispanics according to this Bible to believe that Mary is the mother of God. But that's a lie. Mary's not no mother of God. Christ came about by Mary having sex with Joseph. Christ came about just like each and every one of us, man. Just like each and every one of us. Turn me in the book of Ecclesiasticus. No, the wisdom of Solomon. The wisdom of Solomon, man. Pull it from me, man. Chapter 7, I believe. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7. Where it tells you how each man comes on this earth. It tells you how each man and woman comes on this earth. You don't fall out no sky. God don't come and sleep with no woman and no earth. He ain't got to do that, man. When he already set up an order and how life's supposed to run. He already set it up, man. Go on, tell them where you at.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 6. For all men have one entrance.
For what?
For all men have one entrance into life. Beginning, and their light going out.
So they only have one beginning to life, man. And what's that beginning, man? Skip me back up to verse 3.
And when I was born, I drew in the common air and fell upon the earth, which is of like nature. And the first voice which I uttered was crying, as all others do.
That's how you come out in this world, man. You spend 9 months in your mother's womb, and you come into this earth, man, as a man or as a woman. And that's how Christ came about, by Mary sleeping with Joseph, having sex with Joseph, and Christ coming about, man. Mary ain't no mother of no God. Let's further get it, man. Coming back to that myth of goddesses, man. Coming back to the myth of goddesses. Let me show you where that story all came out from, man. Mary is not the mother of God. Christ ain't God. All these things were made up by man who sat at a council, man, across their road. Read.
Portraits from the end of the 4th century and beginning of the 5th show Mary seated in the same position as Isis and Horus, wearing the mule crown of Sybil or Diana.
So wearing that crown, that's why when you look at that picture, she got a crown on her head like she's a what? Like she's a queen of the earth, the mother of God. But all these things were false gods, made up. Now read on.
And with the Gorgon of Athena painted on her breast, and Athena's own temple, the Parthenon, became Mary's church. Only 100 or so years later, sometime between 500 and 600.
All these things were made up back then, man. 500. And today, we worship Mary in the form of who is Diana, who was Artemis, who was Astaroth. We don't worship God when we go in these churches, man. We don't worship God when we go into these churches, man. We worship a black woman or a white woman. Let me help you take, man. You worship a white woman, man, in the form of so-called Mary. With Christ, with that picture we depicted here for Christianity, who is Serge Borgia, who is depicted as Christ. When you go into the Christian church, you worship a white man. You worship a white man. In the Bible, Christ was black. In the Bible, Mary was black, and she was not the mother of God. She was just a black woman who had sex with a black man to have a black child by the name of Jesus Christ. It's simple, man. It's simple. It's simple, man. But the white man, because he's the devil on the earth, because he's the deceiver on the earth, told us lies and have us destroyed in America, not knowing who we are and how we're supposed to worship God or real power, man. Now read on.
It had taken less than a century for Mary to overtake the role of Isis.
It was what?
It had taken less than a century for Mary to overtake the role of Isis.
It took less than a century, man, for Mary to overtake the role of Isis. Isis is never mentioned in the Bible. She is never mentioned in the Bible, but yet it says that Mary took up the role of Isis. And Isis is the Egyptian goddess they're talking about, who they portrayed as Mary, which shows you what? That all these things we learn in these churches, man, is lies, man. We should not go to church tomorrow, man. We should go and ask that priest back for their tithe and bring it all the way in the school, man, where we teach you the truth according to the Bible, man. We teach you the truth according to this Bible. We don't tell you lies to have you worshiping no woman, to have you up under no woman. You got God's spirit in you, black man. You got God's spirit in you, black, Hispanic man, Native Indian man. You ain't supposed to be worshiping no woman, man. No woman has no God or no queen, because it ain't mentioned in the Bible. And Almighty God ain't need no queen in heaven to run nothing with him, man. Now read on.
It had taken less than a century for Mary to take over the role of Isis, Sybil, and Diana, the remaining goddesses whose cult had dwindled with the decline of the Roman Empire.
Whose what? Whose cult has dwindled, man. It has dwindled. It dwindled, man. Now read it again.
It had taken less than a century for Mary to take over the role of Isis, Sybil, and Diana, the remaining goddesses whose cult had dwindled.
And you'll see how spiritual that is. This brother bringing out the history of why the Roman Catholic Church worships women and 100 white men in dresses run by. Because that's their culture, to be a damn effeminate, to be a damn closet homosexual, to be a sissy. And God ain't like that, man. That's why God hates America. You effeminize a man. Every strong black man, you want to put him in a dress. All your black actors gotta wear a damn dress. Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle, all gotta wear a damn dress. Why? Because that's what the white man really likes. The Greek and Roman Empire was white men wearing dresses. Why do you think they got a white boy portraying Jesus dressed in what? They call it a toga. That's an expensive word for a dress. That's a white man in a dress. The Greek Empire was transsexuals, transgenders, cross-dressers, and transvestites. What kind of man wear a damn dress and run up and down and proud over it? I'm gonna tell you what kind. The kind of man that hates God. The kind of man that got no respect for the almighty power. And God is going to bring this kingdom down. Keep giving them the history, huh?
That's right, man. That's right. That's right with what the captain is bringing out, man. That's what goes on in this place, man. And that Roman Catholic Church will promote that kind of behavior, man. Tomorrow, they're going to take that dress off, go into the Roman Catholic Church and praise God and say they're praying to God. When they ain't. Now let's get more. Read on.
Whose cult had dwindled with the decline of the Roman Empire and were, in any case, often suppressed with their temples closed and their teachers and priests banished.
They're what? No, read it again, man.
It had taken less than a century for Mary to take over the role of Isis, Sybil, and Diana, the remaining goddesses whose cult had dwindled with the decline of the Roman Empire.
Now, what is it saying, man? It's saying this, that when the Roman Empire came into being, man, it overtook, it suppressed or repressed Isis, who was worshipped by the Greeks before, who was worshipped by the Egyptians before. And the Romans now brought in their goddess, who was Mary. That's why she ain't got nothing to do with this Bible, man. Mary is a Roman goddess. That's what she is, man. She is not the mother of God. Now read on.
And were, in any case, often suppressed with their temples closed and their teachers and priests banished.
And the teachers and priests banished. That's what's going to happen on this earth, man. You want to know how you suppress a religion? How you suppress people from worshiping religion? By putting them to death, man. And God is going to do that when he comes back, when he sends Christ back with those 2 million angels. If you don't want to worship God on that day, Christ is going to take your head off, man. He's going to take your head off on that day. That's why he said, Luke, bring them hither and slay them before me. Those that don't want to worship the almighty power, man. Now read on.
In fact, it looks as if the imagery of the older goddesses had passed directly over to the figure of Mary.
It appears that all these images, man, all these so-called goddesses that were in the past, now Mary took on their role on this earth. Now today, Mary is looked at as the mother of God throughout the entire earth. Even the Muslims believe that too, man. To show you how this lie has become powerful on this earth, man. Read.
inspired by the needs of the people and perhaps also by the understanding of the priests that these long-established customs of devotion had to be understood in terms of the new religion.
In the terms of what?
The new religion.
In the terms of a new religion, man. Which shows you what? That this whole Roman Catholic thing, man, it's a new religion, man. It's a new religion that was put here on this earth, made up by men who sat down in councils, man, and came up with these lies. Read on.
Sometimes between AD 400 and 500, the temple of Isis at Colossians in France was dedicated to the Blessed Virgin Mary.
The what?
Blessed Virgin Mary.
To the Blessed Virgin Mary. Now let's get that in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, man. Let's get the Queen of Heaven. Let's get the Queen of Heaven. That ain't in the Bible, black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian. What we're bringing out here is the lies that they push in the Roman Catholic Church and the Christian Church to have black men suppressed, man, mentally, man. Hispanics and Native Indians, minds destroyed with lies. Read.
Queen of Heaven. Some controversy surrounds the philosophy and significance of this title.
Some what?
Some controversy surrounds the philosophy and significance of this title.
Why is it? Why is this taking place? Because when you open the Bible, you don't see Mary as being no Queen of Heaven. You don't see her as being no Queen of Heaven, man. Christ said what? We read it in Matthew 12 and 46. Who is my mother and who is my brother, man? They that do what? The will of the Father, man. It came out Christ's own mouth, man. That Mary was just his mother, just like you, me and you, man. We both have mothers on this earth, man. She's just a mother. She ain't no God. So how did Mary become God? By men sitting her down at some council and coming up with a lie and a new religion called the Roman Catholic religion, man. Or Christianity. All these things are lies that they pushed on us, man. Read on.
But it seems best to regard it as the female deity to rule with their families.
Meaning what? Female goddess. Female god. To rule with what? Read on.
To rule with their families' aid and covenants. Hebrew women made offerings.
And Hebrew women made offerings, man. Meaning we worship these idols way back then also too, man. Not in the form of Mary, but in the form of Diana, in the form of Isis. All these things were made of goddess, man. Mary ain't no mother of God. Give me Colossians, man. Give me Colossians 2 and 8. To show you in the Bible, man. And we were warned of these things to happen way back then. Because you know why? It was happening back then also too. It happened way back then with Paul. When Paul wrote the book of Acts, he spoke about that Diana. But how they made and they were making money making these statues, man. That's why today, these men, they make the same, and if not much more money making all these so-called idol goddesses, man. Read.
Colossians chapter 2 verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy.
Beware what?
Lest any man spoil you through philosophy.
Meaning, watch out, black man, Hispanic man, and Native Indian. Watch out. Lest any man do what?
Spoil you through philosophy.
Through philosophies, man. What's that philosophy? That Mary is God. Watch out for these things, man. That Christ is God. Watch out for these things, man. Read on.
And vain deceit after the tradition of men.
Vain what?
Vain deceit.
Meaning it's deceitful, man. These things are deceitful lies. Mary is not the mother of God. And read on.
After the tradition of men.
After the what?
the tradition of men.
After the tradition of man. Meaning that Mary being the mother of God was only made up, man, by man. It's a tradition of man. To be doing what? Saying your rosary, man. Having some sharp lay around your neck and think you pray to the mother of God. When you're praying to an idol, when you're praying to a fake God, a woman who can't help you whatsoever, man.
When nowadays I work hard on the job, till I come cross y'all, still like I'm a criminal. Crime and get caught, it could be your first charge. Like, man, you ain't getting the minimum. It gon' dip, squat, 5-mile run, push, pull, sit on, goddamn, get strong. Looking at my baby, trying to keep them doing wrong. It's too long before they grown, I can't leave them on their own. They killed Day like he had a 30-day case. The news covering up the story for what they say. It took me back to the time we lost Otis. Pretending these crackers, they gon' tell you something bogus. And I'm thinking like, damn, what you tellin' kids? We tried to put up a fight, but did we fail the kids? Cause they really got us looking like no damn good. And why success got to cost my manhood? They black women